Hey everybody, we are here today unboxing something that I'm very excited about. About 5 years ago, I heard about my favorite game, Duel of Ages, was getting a new edition. At the time, we thought it was going to be called Duel of Ages 3, but instead they ended up calling it Worldspanner Factions. So today I just got my Kickstarter in and we're going to do a little unboxing video so that I can show you all the goodies that came inside this box. All right, let's get started. First, we've got the look of the new characters. These are from the Kickstarter exclusives. And now one of the changes that was made in this game is now you have cardboard standees instead of the little tokens. They made some slight graphical changes to the equipment cards. So these are some that came with the Kickstarter stretch goals. All right, so now let's tear into this bad boy. I've been waiting for this. Duel of Ages 2 has been my favorite game for like the last 10 years since it came out. I've been super excited. The changes they made on this, I think, are going to make this enough different that I'm not going to want to get rid of Duel of Ages 2, but this is still going to be a lot of fun. So here we've got the rule book. Nice, thick, good paper. Kind of give you some example. This rule book is actually a little bit shorter than the previous rule book. They've made some simplification to the rules. I may do a video later talking about some of those changes, but for now, this is one of the big changes in combat now. If you play Duel of Ages 2, it's done a little bit differently. So you kind of have to look that up and see. So now instead of having, again, instead of having the little circular deals, we have these cardboard standees for the characters. So let's just get one as an example here. So if this guy's white team, this is one of the new characters, I don't know his name, but now you use a standee instead of, and if he's team black, you use one of the black standees. So then you can switch them out if the guy's on team black. So it looks good. So now this is the cards for the different missions for the Guardians. And you've got the item cards, the team cards. This is the deck for flipping over. And of course, everybody's favorite part, the characters. So I can see some of the art is the same. This is a new character. This samurai is new, but this is one of the characters from the previous game. And then on the back, it still has all the text talking about their backstory. They have streamlined the card a little bit from what it was before. So that looks like now we're gonna get into the bottom here. So one of the things I noticed right away on these are nice quality hexes. These hexes are bigger than on the previous game. So what that means is there's less hexes per key. So that means that there's probably actually going to be more contact between the characters. They've also provided helps where before when you were playing the game, it was sometimes hard to remember if you got certain bonuses. This is reminding you that if you've got the bonus from this particular faction, you take this card and put it in front of you to remind yourself. Another mechanism I like they've added is gold. You can use the gold to actually go to the store and buy yourself items. So if you've ever had frustration when you were playing Duel of Ages because you drew that sniper, but you could never get a sniper rifle, well, now you're going to be able to go and buy it from the store a little bit easier. So you can see the art on both sides of the standees. It looks really nice. These standees look awesome. It's all really thick cardboard. For those of you who've been around since the original game, the original one, the cardboard was thin, and then they went to a thicker one. This one does feel, I'm going to punch one of these out just to, so I can get a, these do feel a little bit thinner than Duel of Ages 2, maybe a teeny bit thinner, but not as thin as the original. So they may have a little bit of warping, but it seems like they're big enough. And when these things have such big holes in them, I think when you put them together, they're going to be okay. But just one thing to note, they seem to lay pretty flat. I don't know how well you can see that. So all these are a lot bigger. And so one of the other big changes is the way you build the map. It's kind of some pre-built maps, so you're not spending as much time trying to figure out how to build the map, or building a dead-end map where you kind of get stuck. You can see list layer, so yeah, everything is just a lot bigger. These characters, the art is awesome. So like William Wallace, that's the same art. That William Wallace is the same art, but then you got new characters like Theodore Roosevelt. That's the same art for I don't remember his name. Some of these guys, Fangs, Blackbeard the Pirate, that's the same art. But all the art on here is different. And one thing to note, something that they did do to help, is now all the terrain has a type, a symbol here that corresponds to what type of terrain it is. That way it's easier to tell. It's like you have the circle on the water. Here you have the triangle on the forest. If it's clear, it doesn't have anything. If it's a building, it has square. So that kind of helps you a little bit to know, to be able to see a little bit better. Just got a couple more here in this one. Another thing that they changed is they took away the ages, so that's why they changed the name. You're no longer ancient, future, modern, colonial, and instead now you have these different factions, and each faction has its own headquarters and its own different, so it's kind of a mixture of the encounters and the guardians from the previous game. So that's kind of interesting. So you know exactly what you need to beat this one, a 5 respect, and you see what you get. So you know right away you can spend a good respect character and know you have a chance of beating it. Sometimes the Duel of Ages 2 could be a little random, which I don't mind, but some people I know didn't like that. So here we have my favorite character, Rizek the Red, same art. And a couple more of the factions. And then I think in this one, there's, I forgot how many factions, maybe 8 or 9. And then like 6 of them are in this box, and then some of them are in box 2. But here you kind of have an open one. Oh, and then one thing to point out. So you have, sorry, flipping it around. So you have the art on this side. This side is the same board, but it's just an artless version. If you want a clearer, easier gameplay, you can play it on this side. As y'all can tell, I've read through the rulebook multiple times in anticipation of getting this. I was excited today when I came home. It was on my doorstep, and I never even got a shipping notification. So I live in Texas, and it just showed up for those of you who might be waiting for this. So again, the art version, and then if you're having trouble understanding what's going on with the terrain, you have the artless version on the back. Personally, I'd probably always play in the art version, but I could see using both. So then we got box 2 here. This one's called Expanses, and I believe we'll see in a second when we open it, but I'm pretty sure this is just more. 55 more heroes, 12 more maps, 104 more treasures, and you see on the back here it's just showing you a bunch of the characters. So I think what this does is just expands, because I believe there was only 32 characters in the first one, and then there's 55 here. So then that gives you a total, and then we'll get to box 3 in just a second. So in box 2 here, again, like I said, just more of the same. And I'm going to point out a couple of things. The art is really cool on the box. This is kind of they're going back more to like they did in the original Duel of Ages, where you had like 9 or 10 expansions by the end of the game, whereas in Duel of Ages 2, you just had the master set and the expansion. So now they added, this is another deck for flipping over and checking for results. They added another faction in here, so you have faction cards. This is more equipment. And so you get some of the equipment from doing quests and adventures, and then you get some from going to the shop, as I mentioned before. This is actually adding some, these are the foes, I believe, that you use when you're playing. No, actually, I'm sorry, that's in the third box. I was looking at it wrong. So these look a little bit different now, so they cleaned up where used to you would have ancient and you would have all the different worlds. Well, now they're just part of a faction only, and you see their health is up here, and now there's one less, there's no, what was it called? I can't think of what, throw. There was like a throwing mechanism, a throwing stat. They don't have that on here anymore. So they removed that and they kind of cleaned up, and it shows how much damage the character does. It's changed just a little bit, but it's cleaned up, and I think for the better. And then on the side is where it shows what kind of weapons they're good at using and how many gold they start with, how many cards they start with, those kind of things at the beginning. And then this just has more platters, more characters. One thing I did notice is really interesting. So the full art on the punch board, it kind of continues on, and then when you punch it out, it's a little bit less. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, because I don't know if anybody keeps these punch boards, but so again, you see another one of the special keys that you can add on. And I think these keys are used when you play a bigger map with more players. So if you're just playing like one-on-one with four or six characters, you don't use these. These are special ones that have special spots you can go onto and give yourself a bonus experience marker, +2 speed for your next turn. There's Robin Hood, he's the same. So it's interesting. It's kind of, the art does to me seem a little bit more consistent. There's still some art, there's still some of the art that looks a little different than each other, but I think it's definitely more consistent. Duel of Ages was all over the place. I like the art, but you would get one realistic and one crazy looking art on the same character, the same card. So, and again, just to point out, so see how different on the front you have the art, and on the back without the art, it's much easier to see. The health tokens are much bigger. Everything's just bigger, probably easier to manipulate. This Hell Dust Mines is another one of the maps you can use. And this is kind of interesting. So I think the idea behind this game is that you would have at least box 1 and box 2 that we've already opened, because this has stuff you need. Like this is the setup, how to set up your mission. So that's kind of interesting to have the card there for that. So it kind of shows you, and then on the back it shows you when you end a mission, same thing, how to do it. So just more characters, more maps. And I think there's 1 or 2 more here. We'll just pull these out. So yeah, it's kind of more of the same. This is just different tokens and maps that you need. And here we have box 3. And so in this original Kickstarter, it just came with box 1, 2, and 3. And then the later ones are gonna come, you know, a year or 2 from now. So box 3 is a little bit different. It's called Foes. This actually contains the campaign, the rules for the cooperative play, and the different cards you need to be able to play this either as a cooperative or to play the campaign. So when you're playing in cooperative mode, you're able to actually, the game itself actually controls the foes, as they're called, which is what obviously this box contains. So this has the rules for foes and how to play the game in the co-op mode. There's these little S90, don't read any of this. Oh, I'm gonna move it so you can't read it, spoilers. So S90, it's gonna tell you at certain points in the story to go to certain things. So obviously you don't wanna read this ahead of time, but it does have the setup here of how to set up. So what's interesting about this one is you're playing as characters. You're now gonna have athletes going into the bodies, so to speak, or the minds of these ancient peoples. So this is an example. You're gonna have choosing different athletes during the campaign, so it's kind of interesting. And then this is some more of the characters and foes. Yeah, I think these are some of the foes. So on the back you can tell the foes because they have that little evil looking thing on it. And so then they just gave blue and gold standees to use for the campaign or for the co-op mode. You got some more cards in here and some more cards from set 3. And that's there. I think there's some more. What else do we got in here? Oh, there's more characters. So this one has, let's look in the back here. So this one has, doesn't say, it has more characters though. I'm not sure how many. This could just be the foes. So this is a track that you use for this is the AI brain. You'll have to read the book to understand it, but it's kind of interesting how, depending on what number it's on, the enemies are going to try to do certain things. And then these are the foes here and some of the different stuff you use for the campaign. Some of these are really creepy and cool looking. The foes are really, these are actually, I don't know that I could see these in the book. These are actually kind of a little creepier looking than what I expected, and they look awesome. So that's it. I think, did I get, it's hard to, yeah, I got set up. So, and as you can see here, I'll show you one last thing on the side of the box, and you can see it here. This is kind of showing the future of what's going to be coming. So factions 1, 2, and 3 is what came with this set. Faction 4 is going to have minions. 5 is going to be Act 2 of the campaign. 6 is Act 3 of the campaign. 7 is more content. 8 is more content, or Act 4, sorry, and then 9 is the climax of the campaign. So there's going to be 9 total box sets. And they haven't really given a commitment on the time. I've been looking online. It's just said they're just going to kind of release periodically. I would expect probably once a year or so. So come back, come check out our channel, Tabletop Guild. We'll be back with some more videos. We're going to be playing this game hopefully in the next couple of days. We'll come back with the rules on how to play the game, as well as we'll do a playthrough. We'll try to record, this is kind of, we're kind of new to doing that. We'll try to record a playthrough, get you to at least see what the game is like, even if it's just a few turns, kind of check out the game and see what it's like. But until next time, we're Tabletop Guild, and keep gaming.